In case you don't know me, my name's Chelsea. I'm a Suzuki violin teacher living in Melbourne, Australia. And about a year ago, when we first went into COVID lockdown, I started posting and sharing a lot of content on YouTube. This was in response to hearing that colleagues could no longer teach their students in the US and the UK, and recognizing that there would be more families in need of more support at home. So instead of just teaching my lessons to my students, I started making videos. A lot of them are tutorial videos, a few of them are parent talks, a lot of them feature play-along components like my Book 1 Twinkle practice videos, and several of those are focused specifically at parents and helping them develop their playing skills, which is great. But something maybe we don't talk about enough is how to develop our role as the home teacher. And especially now as schools are closed and parents are being compelled to take on the role of home facilitator, we need those skills more than ever. I've been rereading a book by Edmund Sprunger called Helping Parents Practice. This is my well-worn dog-eared copy. And also looking back at my own note-taking and teaching process in my role as the home teacher for my now 9-year-old who plays Suzuki piano and Suzuki violin. The best piece of advice I can give to any parents starting on this journey is that it's impossible to listen too much, and that the more you play the repertoire CDs in the background, the easier and the smoother your progress will be, the easier practice will be for both you and your child, the easier lessons will be for you, the teacher, and your child, and the more fun you'll have along the way because you have a very clear model in your head of what the goal is and what the expectations are. And when we have clear expectations and clear goals, putting in place a process for meeting those expectations and goals is doable. Without a clear goal, it's impossible to plan, and progress is not really measurable because we don't know what we're aiming for. So with that in mind, my first piece of advice, maybe the most important one, you can stop watching after you hear this, 3 minutes in, play the CD every day. Play the CD every day. Or maybe it's an iTunes playlist. That's what we have. I don't have CDs here anymore. I have iTunes playlists. At the moment, we have a playlist that is every piece in the Suzuki repertoire for violin, and from book 1 to 3 for piano. And both of those playlists get played every day. We also have a playlist I call Current, which is the 3 newest pieces for violin and the 3 newest pieces for piano. And they're what I put on when we're in the car on a short trip, because that playlist I think runs for about 20 minutes, and that's usually how long we're in the car for most of the time. If I'm lucky, maybe we're in the car for 40 minutes and I get through that playlist twice, and it's just pleasant background music. Audrey sits in the back reading, and I drive. And I have heard those pieces of music thousands of times. I was a Suzuki kid from the age of 4, and my mother was diligent about listening. And there is something wonderful about hearing a piece of music that you know so well, that you can anticipate the note that's coming next, and you can anticipate the dynamic and the articulation. And I listen to different versions of the same piece. I enjoy listening to several different versions of Bach A minor violin concerto. I am not well versed enough in piano to go seeking other recordings yet. That's not my area of expertise. But there's something very beautiful about having that shared experience and that shared music. So whether you are playing Busy Busy Stop Stop, Taka Taka Boom Boom, or whether you're playing Gosset Gavotte or Vivaldi A minor, listen. It will make everything so much easier, and it will give you all, both the family unit that is involved in this, a much deeper appreciation of music, of its storytelling capacity, and increase your vocabulary by orders of magnitude. We know now that children who are read to have a much, much larger vocabulary. In the same way, children who listen to music and know it and anticipate it and can hear the emotions behind it, develop a much larger capacity for musical expression. Putting on ABC radio is beautiful. And it's also like putting on the news in Vietnamese or French or Italian and then expecting that to increase your child's English skills. So that's wonderful enrichment, but it won't help you reach your goal. So put the CD on and then put it on again. It will make everything so much easier. The second thing that will help is taking notes at lessons. Now, my violin parents say, but you're a teacher, why did you write things down? And when Audrey was little and had a violin teacher, I still wrote things down. I didn't go to her lessons and I know all this already. I do that with my own students. Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, whatever. Because every child is different. Every child does things in different ways, at different speeds, with different levels of repetition and intensity. And so I have here 3 little notebooks on my lap. You can see they've all been well loved and festooned with stickers, and I write the year on the front of them. And my notes change over time. Things like, here you go, this is a pretty early lesson. This is November 2015. So at that time, Audrey was 3.5 exactly. And it says things like, busy, busy, stop, stop, good feet, my turn, your turn. So, you know, obviously at home, I'm going to be reinforcing, oh, good feet. Remember, Paula said you had really nice feet at your lesson. Can you show me those good feet again? My turn, your turn. That seems obvious, but that means, Mum, get your violin out. Play, my turn, then your turn. And at this stage of the game, my turn might be 1, the beginning, the bread section of Busy, Busy, Stop, Stop, right? Done. Because maybe that's all the attention span we have time for. And then her turn might look like just playing the A string. Great! Well done! Awesome balance on the A string. My turn again. And I'm thrilled that it's my turn because I want her to be thrilled that it's her turn. Oh, is that all you did? Oh, is it my turn again? We can see where that goes really fast. So being enthusiastic as the parent to play myself and take my turn. Is it my turn yet? Please, can I have a turn? I want to try. Can I add a new thing on? We know where that goes. What else did we do that lesson? Parts of the violin. Scroll, neck, F-holes, waist. Point the F-holes at the audience. That's a good tip. Fingerboard, Chrysler Highway, bridge, chin rest, tailpiece. Can we play Busy, Busy, Stop, Stop on A? Listen, are you on the A string? We jumped on the stage, we put fingers on the A string, listening to rhythm, differentiating Busy, Busy, Stop, Stop, or Run Pony, or Dr. Suzuki. So I haven't actually written it down. Bad mummy. But maybe I was playing that, maybe her teacher was playing that and asking Audrey, hey, what are you hearing here? Can you clap this back to me? Which rhythm was that? Then we have a bit of discussion about crotchets, full tummy notes, 1 beat each, minims, 2, semi-brief, empty tummy, hasn't got any legs, takes 4 counts to get up. That's a very slow note. Oh, and you know, I'm sure that there was climbing up and down the floor talking about these note values. And I wrote it down so that we would remember to play around with those ideas at home, not play Busy, Busy, Stop, Stop, and then look at each other and go, what else were you meant? Oh, I forgot. Oh, I don't really know. Oh, let's put the CD on again. That's great, but slower progress because maybe I'm not following up on the lessons so well. Oh, then we did some using cards to pick the rhythm. So I guess we were using flashcards with the rhythms on them. And which string was that on? And then we practiced getting first finger ready on the E string and asking, do you recognize this? Does this sound familiar? So playing taka taka tun tun, taka taka tun tun, first finger on E string. Oh, I know that. And then maybe we put that on the different strings. I, again, have been very negligent and not written that down. So that's after 6 months. And that's dealing with a 3.5-year-old who doesn't yet, in our particular circumstance, have the fine motor skills to play the entire thing straight through. But we need variety built into the repetition so that we take the baby steps forward, because we couldn't play a whole twinkle variation yet. Now, if I zoom forwards, let's go to 2019, 4 years on. 4 years on, notes look a bit more like this. Hunter's chorus, bowing goes up, down. Bar 33, check all the bowing with the music. Bar 33, staccato bow but soft vibrato. Keep bow strong. Bar 23, long, short bows. Next piece, Bach Gavotte. That's the first piece in book 5. Memorize. Semitone in bar 9. Elbow down on E and A string. First chord, elbow down. It makes it ring. Don't just put the wrist down, put the elbow down as well. Practice bar 5 lots. Jig, jumping to the end of book 5. Keep elbow down on A and E. Or we can hear that that's a repeating idea. That's probably going to be the focus of our week's practice because it's cropping up a few times. Good, your bow is at the balance point. Bar 30, shorter trill. High 3 in bar 40. Bring elbow through. Who knew? Play the 4s. Okay, so in that piece we have a few spots where we have to choose. Open E string or 4th finger on A string. There's our direction, play the 4s. So that's something we'd need to practice in. Oh, and then Bach double, the new piece at the time. Bring elbow through, practice really slowly. Do all the first position shifts. Okay, so you can see how much our notes changed over the course of 4 years. That is the 15th of October, 2019. So nearly exactly 4 years later. We are now working at the end of book 5, and we have more specific, detailed feedback on bars and what to do with that bar of the piece and which skill we're going to focus on during the week, dropping the right elbow down for E and A string notes. Next question is how to do that. Amazingly, most of that still looks the same as it did in 2015. It looks like me looking at the book and saying, hey, so we're supposed to do this thing. Let's find bar 5 and play it 10 times. And you'll notice that when I say that, I don't say, oh, do you feel like playing bar 5 10 times? Because this isn't actually a choice that I want to give. This is a direction that's being given from the lesson. It's a thing we're going to do. And in our practice, if that's a problem, I'll do it. Or I'll facilitate listening to it. Or if I can see that there's an issue with, what's bar 5? What am I meant to do? I'll find bar 5 in the music and say, oh, here it is. Oh, yeah, okay, that was tricky, wasn't it? Yeah, okay. I can see why we were asked to practice that 10 times. So we're setting an expectation, we're setting a clear goal, and then we're saying, this is the plan, this is how we're going to do it. And at that point, our child has a choice. They can buy in and do it, or they can kick up a fight. Now, hopefully, over the last 4 years, we've put enough trust in place that they understand when I do this thing 10 times, it will improve. Maybe it won't be perfect, but that's okay. I will improve. It's our job as adults to track the 10 times, to notice the improvement, and to stop after 10 times. Don't ask for 12, don't ask for 15, don't ask for just one more. If you say 5, if you say 10, stop, because that's where we build the trust. So far we're up to 3 ideas, right? Listen to the CD every day. Take good lesson notes, write things down. I have often written things down that turned out to be unimportant later. I have less frequently missed important things because I would rather write things down and go, oh, okay, that's not such a big deal, than not write down the lesson and then go, what were we meant to do? And then we often get into arguments at home because her recollection is different to my recollection. We don't have a record. Wasted week of practice. Third thing, build trust so that when you need it, you've got it. Save it up for a rainy day so that when you say, I know this part is hard, that's why we're going to do it 10 times. Your kid goes, 10 times? Okay. Instead of chucking a hissy fit. Something I really like from Ed Spranger's book talks about choice. And this is something I've seen in so many books. It's referred to in depth in How to Listen So Kids Will Talk and Talk So Kids Will Listen, which I think I just said the wrong way around. I think it's How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. I've read that book so many times and I can never get the title right. And I'm looking on my shelf for it and I think it's loaned out, so I can't even tell you. But it's in there. It talks about choices, reasonable demands, and wish fulfillment. Holt also talks about this in How Children Learn. Reasonable demands, choices, and wish fulfillment. And in section 25, we have the heading, Make Demands That Are Clear, Gentle, and Firm. And I'm not going to read you the whole chapter. You can do that yourself. And, you know, buy, beg, borrow. Just don't steal the book from me. Read it. It's amazing. I like this a lot. I'm not advocating that practices should be all about parents telling children what to do at every turn. In fact, quite the opposite. Children learn more and are more willing to work when they are given choices at every point possible. Giving them choices and appropriate control helps develop their trust that we adults are working with their best interests in mind. That trust is crucial. It's what usually allows a child to feel safe enough to give in and follow directions. So again, this isn't, would you like to practice? This is, would you like to practice now or at 3 o'clock? It's giving a choice where you can and making sure that the choice is between two desirable outcomes, not, well, I really only wanted you to say yes. That's not a choice. Back to the book. When it's not possible to give children choices, parents and teachers need to make clear, gentle, and firm demands. We need to say, today we have to start with scales, or play this again and make sure that all of the notes have a full sound, or tap your pinky 10 times. In cases such as these, demands are appropriate, but they don't need to be as dramatic or traumatic as a demand for payment from a credit card company. But they are clearly demands nonetheless. In spite of the fact that we make them in the best interests of the child, they are not choices or requests. The fact is, life doesn't always offer choices. It would be absurd for an anesthesiologist to ask a patient, would you mind a little anesthesia today before the surgeon removes your spleen? When we give children real demands, they may hate having to give up momentary freedom in order to get other things they want, such as information about how to play the instrument, time with the teacher, or a chance to play a game. Giving children practice with the fact that life sometimes makes demands doesn't make adults mean. Much of growing up is learning to tolerate the demands that life itself makes of us. In some ways, even making a choice is a demand. Life insists that we do something. Choosing not to make a choice is, in fact, making a choice. There's just no way out. When adults are uncomfortable with taking control, they can confuse children by softening and blurring and thereby weakening their demands. For example, while some children are ready to go when a parent or teacher says, would it be okay if we do some bow exercises now? Other children hear it as what it really is, a choice. They say no, either verbally or with the way they react, and with good reason. We just gave them the choice. The younger they are, the more children thrive on instructions and choices that are clear, concrete, and genuine, and demands that are straightforward. In other words, in this case, hey, bow exercises are next. Young children need this clarity because they are not yet able to handle the subtleties of language, but it's even good advice for adolescents. No matter what age the developing child, adults serve that child best when they are clear and upfront. Parents may feel that they are being polite when they use fuzzy language with their children, like, would you like to have a lesson now? Instead of, time for your lesson. I understand this concern. I also understand that some of these ways of being polite confuse a child and in a subtle way actually encourage a child to behave rudely. I'll explain. And this is great because it gives us the insight into the child's mind. And I think sometimes we let our adult concerns and our adult brain and our adult understanding get in the way of that stuff. Here's the explanation. While it's true that kids may be upset about not having a choice in some matters, they'll be even more upset if they're given the additional assignment of having to read the adult's mind. The original task the parent hinted at may have seemed exhausting, but doable. Perhaps the parent said, "How about if you play that 5 times? But that's not a clear demand. The child finds that the additional task of reading the parent's mind is impossible and completely overwhelming. The child can easily become very uncomfortable because they're not sure if their parent, the most important person in the world, is really making a demand or not. So they're not sure, do I really have to play 5 times or not? Here are the conflicting feelings that are suggested might crop up. I don't want to play this 5 times, but my mum doesn't want to tell me I have to do it. That's because she doesn't want to look like a mean person. So she's hoping I will pretend that I want to do this so that she doesn't feel uncomfortable. Now I have to do this. I have to pretend to like it, and I have to take on the burden of managing her discomfort because she can't manage it herself. I have to be mean to myself to take care of her, and I hate having to do all of these things. Meltdown. Remember, the child doesn't usually have the words to express these frustrations. They can only express them through actions. Voila, rude behaviour. So if you hope a child will say, yes, when you ask, do you want to work on that left hand exercise your teacher gave you? But the child says no. The kid's going to lose it when you say, well, do it anyway. Back to text. There are many ways in which they come out the loser in this situation. In addition to the emotional angst of having to guess what you want, you've taken away their control over the choice you gave him, and he really has to do the exercise he doesn't want to do. You can avoid all of this agitation and distress by being clear about demands and choices. Remember, you are giving your child a choice every time you start out with, how about if we, would it be okay if, do you want to, do you mind? If your intention is to give a choice, these are great ways to do it. If you don't intend to give a yes-no choice, keep these phrases in their drawer until you really need them. You're better off using these phrases which come out of the drawer labelled polite ways to start a reasonable demand. Time to, next is, or some action word like lift your arm at the end or play the A scale, please. As long as you are deliberate about the drawer you are choosing your words from, whether it's the choices drawer or the polite demand drawer, your practices will go smoother because your child will be clear about what's on your mind. One more common snag. When the adult looks to the child to approve and go along with something the child really doesn't have a choice about. For example, a parent might start out with a very clear and effective demand. Like, I know you want to sit in my lap, but that's not allowed right now. So I'm going to sit right here and you can sit next to me. In and of itself, this kind of statement has some wonderful emotional nutrients for children. It's empathetic. It states clearly what the child must do and must not do. But a parent can diminish its effectiveness by adding, okay, at the end of it. I'm not talking about parents who are saying, okay, to see if the child understood what they said. I'm talking about the parents who want the child to endorse what they just said. Tacking okay to the end of an appropriate and clear demand can turn it into a choice and a request for approval. There are other cabooses, trailers, that parents sometimes attach to the end of commands, transforming a clear and reasonable direction into a choice. For example, teacher asks student to play on the E string. It's a reasonable demand for the parent to turn to the child and say, the teacher said you need to play it on the E string, so here we go. But I've heard parents say instead, the teacher said you need to play it on the E string. Do you want to try doing that? Of course, you may be one of the parents who find that these tags work at the end of demands, but I've seen them backfire more often than not. The important thing is to pay attention to your results. If you find that your child is difficult to work with, keep this in mind. Parents and teachers who look to children for approval will often end up with very angry children. So the takeaway from that, clear and reasonable demand. Not a question, not okay, because then we're just setting up, all kinds of falsehoods and weird interactions, and we don't need to go there. There's one other common way that failing to make clear demands can get us into situations we'd rather not be in. It's when we use the words can and try in inappropriate ways. If you're placing the violin for a young beginner and they need to lift their chin, in order to get the job done, it's most effective to simply say, lift your chin. If you ask the child, can you lift your chin? Or if you say, try to lift your chin, you've weakened your demand unnecessarily. It would be really weird if a child physically could not lift their chin, right? If you're truly not sure if they can do it or not, then go ahead and check. However, in most situations, lift your chin. The thing that needs to happen so that the next thing can happen. Reasonable demands are fine. That's my takeaway from this chapter. Reasonable demands are fine. And the last sentences of this chapter. In the long run, children will appreciate your clarity between demands and choices. Avoid falling into the trap of substituting a wishy-washy approach for a positive one. In the same way, I don't think the question, would you like me to put the CD on now, has ever been asked in our house. I wake up, I hit play, music starts playing. That's just what happens. We've never asked the question because I want the music to be on. It's not a big deal. It's quiet. It's in the background. It's not intrusive. I know what environment I need to create. That's my job. I take it upon myself to do my job, not to say to someone else, hey, would you mind if I did my job now? So here are my takeaways for new parents, for continuing parents, especially. Play this CD. Play it every day. Play it multiple times. All you need to do is cue some playlists and then push play. You can do that. It's okay. Practice every day. You, personally, pick up your violin or pick up your child's violin and start playing. And it's okay if they don't run and join you the first time. It's okay if they watch you for 10 minutes. But model the behavior that you want to see. And it would be so great, if we could just say, hey, do this now, and things happen. But we know that teaching children, that's not the case. We need to be what we want to see in them. Take notes. It helps. It helps to write stuff down. I promise. It is not a waste of your time. It helps you digest and absorb and integrate what's happening in the lesson. It helps you check back through the week when halfway through the week when you go, what are we even meant to be doing anymore? Or what's expected of us by next week? It's helpful. It's clear. And sometimes it will just give you more positive reinforcement on the menu. I used an unusual word and that stops you saying, good boy, 18 times a day, because instead you go, oh, that was superb, or that was marvelous, or magical. Find some different positive words. Maybe that's all you get, but that's still useful. And be clear. Be as clear as you can. Mean what you say what you mean. The last thing that I didn't get to was wish fulfillment. And that was probably described to me as the easiest way to express empathy. Kids often expect adults to wave a magic wand and fix it because we are able to do that so often in so many areas of their life. In music, you can't wave a magic wand and get the desired result. You have to put the work in. But it can help to say things like, I really wish that I could wave a magic wand and just put 10 repetitions in your fingers. They'd find it so much easier. And, kids go, oh, that's really funny. And then they'll start. Oh, I really wish that I could wave a magic wand and just drop that whole piece into your brain. Yeah, I wish you could do that too. But you can't. But it's a funny idea. Yeah, cool. I really wish I could wave a magic wand and we were back at your teacher's house so she could hear how amazing your Gossip Girl was. You can give compliments with wishes. You can take the sting out of situations with wishes. And I'm going to finish here while my daughter starts playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, because that's what her teacher said she expected to happen. I hope this has been of some use to you. I hope this hasn't been a wasted half an hour, and good luck.